Got it.
Well, good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of Love Not Fear. I'm Jack Cox, author of Love Not Fear, and I'm with my usual co-host, Annie Day, author
Orgasmic Health.
And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
And we're going to be talking about sexual pleasure and how you can have the most joyful sex.
Hello, Catherine. Lovely to have you on.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Buzz. Hi.
So before we get into talking about sex, I just thought I'd share a little experience that I had, well, a dream that I had last night. Not because I want to blow my own trumpet, but because I believe the same message applies to all of us.
Yeah.
Now, and again, I don't want any sympathy or anything, but I was in a bit of a bad place yesterday. And I was about to give up, not suicide or anything like that, just about to give. And I had a dream last night, and I was speaking to what in the dream I called my handler.
Yeah.
But you can call him Source or call it any name you want.
The creator.
Guide, higher self. But I was having a conversation with this being. And this being was sending me on a mission. And I can't remember.
Like all good heroes and heroines.
Well, my life has been a series of missions, but I can't remember what this one was. But I don't think that was important. This is why I say I think it's a message for all of us.
Yeah.
And I was saying, no, I don't know how to do that. I can't do that. I wouldn't know where to start doing that. And he said to me, just go there. Just be there. And you will affect the situation in the way it needs to be affected just by being your own wonderful self.
Spot on. Lovely guidance. Beautiful guidance, Jack.
I really believe that message applies to every single one of us.
Oh, absolutely.
If you don't know how to do, hello, John. If you don't know how to do what you're being sent to do, just go there. Yeah. It's not about doing anything, it's about being.
Yeah. We're human beings, we're not human doings.
Yes, absolutely. So, do you want to lead into talking about...
I do.
Talking about joyous sex and intimacy and how we can all have been more joyous in our lives.
I do indeed. So I did a little bit of memory work. So I came up with these beautiful songs for times, for times when you want to have sex. So I Can Make You Feel Good was the first one I thought of. Let's Get It On. Je T'aime had to be in there somewhere. Sexual Healing, because that's what this is about. Whole Lot of Love, Touch Me in the Morning and Last Thing at Night, Steer It Up, good old Bob Dylan, I'm in Love with Your Body, and then there is a lovely singer called Amber and her song's called Sexual, and there's a 528 hertz love frequency. So it's worth having a look at those because they've got music in, particularly the 528 hertz, that is really good for healing the past. So we can't have the most beautiful, wonderful life if we've still got past stuff that needs sorting out. So it's a good time if you're going to be enjoying joyful sex to let go of the past.
Absolutely, Annie, I agree with you 100%, but it's not always that easy, is it?
No, perhaps not, but with the right therapist, I think, all of us can heal from the past. And this is my personal and professional experience, if we don't make friends with the past, if we don't deal with it, then we end up bleeding on the one who didn't cut us. So we will always do that same wound and carry on with it. So it's an act of love for yourself, really, to let go of the past. And just to remember that we've talked about this a lot over the last few weeks, but basically your perceived mistakes were all divinely guided learning experiences. Forgive yourself.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And then once we can forgive ourselves, we can do that for everybody else, can't we?
But we can know that intellectually, Annie, but how do we deal with the trauma attached to those that resulted from those experiences?
Again, I'd say I'd seek the help. Some stuff we can heal for ourselves, very obviously. But sometimes we need someone else to help us to get through things. So, you know, there are lots of grief recovery people like myself. There are lots of NLP practitioners that also do Haven in an event, which releases PTSD, trauma, and unhelpful thoughts. So find somebody that resonates with you, have a look online, see who's got really good reviews for this kind of work, and then just book yourself in. As I say, I believe it's an act of love for yourself. I do really think it's an act of love for yourself to be able to move on from that experience, so that every time you think about that situation, you're not going, oh.
The thing with trauma is we don't often think about it, but it's deeply embedded in our subconscious.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's just running in the background, isn't it? And then something happens to us and that memory or that feeling again gets triggered by, you know, the situation that we find ourselves in. And at moments like that, the best gift we can give to ourselves is to ground ourselves.
Mm. Right,
In healing ourselves, we heal the world, from Catherine Waldron. Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Taoists say that when we heal others, we heal ourselves. When we heal ourselves, we heal others. So, you know, what Catherine's just said is absolutely spot on, basically. Yeah. So, where to start now? I've made so many notes. So I thought we'd start with Tantra and our Kundalini energy. So our Kundalini energy is likened to a serpent. It resides at the bottom of our spine, in our coccyx. It runs up all the way through our chakras, over our brow and our crown, and then goes to our top lip. And the front channel goes from our genitals all the way up and to our bottom lip. So the way of connecting those two channels is just to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth like that. And we're very fortunate in the UK that our word for love requires us to lick the top of our mouth when we're saying love. So we're connecting those two channels every time we say love, which is very fortuitous, very fortuitous. So according to the philosophy of Tantra, the entire universe is a manifestation of pure consciousness. In manifesting the universe, this pure consciousness seems to become divided into two poles or aspects, neither of which can exist without the other. Each requires the other in order to manifest its total nature. The one aspect, Shiva, is the divine masculine, and this retains a static quality and remains identified with unmanifested consciousness. We've talked a lot about consciousness, haven't we, over the last few weeks as well?
We talk a lot about it, Annie.
Yeah. So Shiva has the power to be, but not the power to become or change. But that's when the divine feminine comes in. So the other aspect, Shakti, is feminine, dynamic, energetic, and creative. And it's not an accident that we're the ones that, you know, with a lot of help from the divine masculine, clearly, but we're the ones that grow the babies because we do have that creative force within our physiology. So Shakti is the great mother of the universe, for it is from her that all form is born. According to Tantra, the human being is a miniature universe. All that is found in the cosmos can be found within each individual, and the same principles that apply to the universe apply in the case of the individual being. In human beings, Shakti, the feminine aspect, is called the Kundalini. This potential energy is said to rest at the base of your spinal cord. The object of the tantric practice of Kundalini awakening is to awaken this cosmic energy and make it ascend through your psychic centers, the chakras that lie along the axis of the spine, as consciousness potentials. She will then unite above the crown of your head with Shiva, the pure consciousness. So do you remember I was telling you about that book that has the male and female sat opposite each other, and then when they are joined in sexual congress, then there is this Kundalini energy that goes up to the cosmos basically and links us to the stars, which is pretty awesome, isn't it? She will then unite above the crown of the head with Shiva, the pure consciousness. This union is the aim of Kundalini, a resolution of duality into unity again, a fusion with the absolute. By this union, the adept attains liberation while living, which is considered in Indian life to be the highest experience and union of the individual conjoining with the cosmos. Once Kundalini Shakti has ascended to above the crown of the head and merged with Shiva, it is made to reverse its course and return to rest at the bottom of the spine. So I thought we'd just talk about that, because obviously it's really important that our sexual energy is doing what it's meant to be doing. And as you know, I'm very, very deeply linked to Egypt. The Egyptians believed that you could not be you couldn't be attaining the highest spiritual energies and reach your full potential if you were not engaging with your sexuality as well. So they believe that our DNA is, so our silver is the beautiful, beautiful sexual energy, and then the golden link is our spiritual energy. So our spiritual and sexual energy need to be conjoined basically. And the Ankh, which I've only got a little tiny one, but you can see it. So that is said to be a fully realized being. So during orgasm, there used to be a YouTube video of a man and a woman orgasming, and the top of our crown just lights up with bright red energy when we have that orgasm. So again, the Egyptians believed that the Ankh was a symbol of somebody who had attained the highest in sexual and spiritual attainment, basically. So I thought that'd be useful to tell you about that. I also thought I'd talk about some of the foods we could eat that are aphrodisiacs.
Yep.
So ginger's very good. Ginger's very, very good as an aphrodisiac because it's very warming. Black pepper also is really good. And then my all-time favorite is organic carrot juice.
Okay.
Because it's the color of our sacral. So our sacral is bright orange. And just an interesting little side shoot is that the Romans, before they had their orgies, would drink lots of carrot juice.
Well, they certainly should know.
Certainly seemed to work for them, didn't it?
Absolutely.
So yeah, organic carrot juice. I'm going to give James White a plug because it is the most tastiest carrot juice as well. But what it does is it feeds your sacral area. Your sacral area is where you release toxins, but also it's where we receive joy and pleasure. So the more we release the toxins, the more we're able to take in joy and pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What about mental toxins? What about
mental toxins. So the demons, so one of the
limiting beliefs that we take on board?
Oh, yeah. So before I teach people awakening the senses with Tantra or any tantric massage or anything like that, we spend about 15 minutes just sitting there and just releasing inhibitions, any feelings that you're not the best lover in the world, any old, I don't know, things that have happened in the past that have made us feel like we weren't a good lover when actually we're a spectacular lover, and letting go of all those demons, but also getting rid of the demon of not having time for sex.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be you've got elderly parents living with you, teenage kids, littler kids. They're all distractions. So it's really important to let go of those toxins. So to just blast them and tell them to be gone. We don't want any of that monkey business. Anything that inhibits you from expressing yourself magnificently as a sexual and spiritual being has no place with us. It needs to go, basically. Yeah, it needs to go.
So how should people go about getting rid of those limiting beliefs?
In the ways that I've just said, it could be a simple ritual between you and your partner, or even on your own. You don't need a partner to release demons, basically. But you could just say, I am releasing the demon of being inhibited. I am releasing the demon of not being good enough. I am releasing the demon of not being a good lover. I am releasing, and then whatever other things jump into your brain, basically. So some of the things that men tend to do when they have erectile dysfunction is, I liken it to, so when you want to get an erection, it's like you're just about to whack that cricket ball and you miss it. If you keep thinking and rehearsing and remembering that time when you miss the cricket ball, you'll always miss the cricket ball. And again, for your sexual health, you will manifest, you know, we talked about Dr. Bruce Lipton and the barge of belief. If you're saying, I won't be able to get an erection, your body goes, all right, okay, yeah, I've got that. I know how to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So what we want is to let go of those demons and to stop watching ourselves. You know, the audience effect.
Hello, Chrissy. Hello, Chrissy.
Hi, Chrissy.
Glad you could make it.
So the audience effect can be helpful. So I know I love teaching. So when I've got an audience, when I've got the Ofsted team there, I shine even brighter than I would have done because I'm really confident that I've got this. But if you ask me to, I don't know, thread a sewing machine that I am not confident in, that audience effect would make me so much worse. So, you know, we need to stop being that bad audience for ourselves and seeing ourselves not being successful in what we want. And the other thing is, there are medications that prevent you from having an erection. So the worst offender is statins, which are allegedly given to men to stop them having a heart attack. That's not really what they do. If you look at the ingredients, it's not helpful at all. So, you know, if the man is on statins, he cannot get localized high blood pressure. What do you need to make an erection? Localized high blood pressure. So if you're on those statin tablets, they will cause erectile dysfunction. And it's been heartbreaking over the last few years when so many men are on statins, because women, in the absence of any evidence, so the man stops having sex with his, let's say, wife. He spends a lot of time downstairs pretending to watch telly because he wants her to be asleep because he doesn't want to disappoint her or him. And she realizes that they're not making love anymore. And we add up 2 and 2 and make 69, basically. So there's been lots of women that have booked in for sex therapy when actually, because I can't breach like their husband's confidentiality. She's saying, I know he's having an affair. I know he's having an affair because we never have sex now. And I've said there may be many other reasons for why that's happening. It may be the medication he's on. I've noticed with the divine masculine, there is an element of shame as well, that your lingam, your cock, your penis is not working right. Men will often internalize that as they're useless as a man, and actually they're not at all. So some of the things that can help with high blood pressure that don't cause any kind of issues for us are organic beetroot juice and organic grapefruit juice. Quite often people on high blood pressure tablets are told not to take grapefruit because it would bring your blood pressure down naturally, as would the beetroot juice. That's what it does, basically, one of its functions. So I would always say to men, be honest with your partner. As soon as you tell her, it's something that you can sort out together. When you're doing this on your own and hearing all monkey business that's going through your brain and recapitulating all those, what did you call it last week? The drunken monkey.
Yes.
So you said that the mind sometimes is a drunken monkey.
I did say that, yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you, Jack, because I've remembered it. So you need to stop the drunken monkey from being in charge, basically. And just tell yourself affirmations. I'm a great lover. I am excellent at giving my partner pleasure or giving myself pleasure, whatever it is. I have great erections. It doesn't matter what we're saying as long as we are behaving in it, and also we're setting it in the present moment, and we're setting it in the positive as well.
Right, do you want to say a little bit more about havening for anybody who may have missed it last week?
Okay, so havening is a way of locking in our affirmations. It has many other beautiful ways of sorting things out as well. For instance, getting rid of PTSD and traumas. But the one that we talked about on our manifesting special, wasn't it?
Well, 2 weeks ago.
So if I move backwards so you can see me. So these are the havening moves. So let's say I am a great lover, because that's really helpful to us, isn't it? So we're going to start with our hug. So we slide our hands down while we say, I am a great lover.
I am a great lover.
Then we do our hands. I am a great lover.
I am a great lover.
And then the sides of our face, I am a great lover.
I am a great lover.
And then we could do, I have a happy, healthy, sexy body. Because a lot of our hang-ups stem from poor body image, which is not, it's not the true mirror of us. So I have a happy, healthy, sexy body. And then we're going to do our hands. I have a happy, healthy, sexy body. And then our faces, I have a happy, healthy, sexy body. I'll move back now. That's so I can actually see. In detail, I hasten to add. So the aromatherapy oils that are particularly good as aphrodisiacs are, again, ginger and black pepper, just like the food. Lang lang, patchouli, jasmine, rose and geranium. So there you can use all of those for a really lovely massage for yourself or your partner. And those fragrances help us to surrender to the moment. They're very exotic fragrances. Patchouli especially is very grounding. Lang lang raises our self-esteem. And the ginger and black pepper are very warming. The jasmine and rose geranium, again, just help us to just let ourselves go in the moment, basically. So we're not doing the stuff on ourselves. So we're just allowing ourselves to just enjoy these beautiful aphrodisiac fragrances. Quite often people use aphrodisiacs in their bath. I just need to say some cautionary notes about this.
Yep.
So run your bath to the right height and temperature, and then add 2 drops of whichever oil you're going to use. If you add any more, it will only work on your physicality. If you only use a couple of drops, it will work on your mind, body and spirit. So if you're going to have a sensual, sexy bath alone or with a partner, then the one you need to avoid, or the ones you need to avoid, are citrus oils. So some of my...
Well, what do we need to avoid?
Citrus oils.
Okay, yeah.
So if you want to avoid sweet orange, lime, grapefruit, Mei Chang, bergamot, they all belong to the citrus oil family. So many moons ago, somebody ignored completely what I said and ran their bath and put loads of sweet orange in, and then all the skin peeled off their genitalia.
Oof.
And their partner wasn't very impressed with it either, because it did similar to her.
She wasn't, no.
So you can use ginger, black pepper, lang lang, patchouli, jasmine, or rose and geranium. You could use lavender, but it tends to have a soporific effect. So you don't want to be really sleepy. You want to be wide awake and ready for love, basically. But yeah, avoid the citrus oils in the bath. It's not big and it's not clever.
What about sandalwood?
Yeah, sandalwood's a very grounding one as well, darling. Yeah, that'd be ideal.
I always used to wear a patchouli and sandalwood mix.
Nice.
I ought to get back to doing that, because I used to like doing that.
Yeah, I've just reminded you of scrummy. So what I suggest is that if you are in a relationship and you're not enjoying the passion and romance that you had right at the beginning of your relationship, then you could start doing date nights. I've encouraged lots of people to do this over the years. So usually Friday night's a good time. Get the kids with a babysitter, get your elderly parents looked after, forget about work, shut your laptop down, so that you're not distracted by work things, so that you can fully engage with the other person and having that really beautiful, lovely, sexy night, basically.
I think that's beautiful advice.
It is, and you know, it really works for people as well. So another thing that you can do for yourself and your partner, again, you could use the havening technique, is flood your partner with affirmations. Tell them about how beautiful, wonderful, amazing, fantastic, you know, all the things they do for you that are really, really lovely. So do that, and then they do the same for you, basically, and flood you with lovely affirmations. So keep yourself open and just let those affirmations wash over you. As we know, sometimes, no, I'm going to say all the time, when we don't have our sight, we actually take things in internally. So close your eyes and yeah, either haven yourself and flood yourself with affirmations, or do the same for your partner.
That's beautiful, yeah.
I thought that'd be really good. Another reason why we don't feel loved is there are 5 primary love languages. So there is physical touch, quality time, acts of service, affirmations, gifts and presents. So what I offer couples that come for relationship counselling or sex therapy is, I've got this wonderful questionnaire that I was given many moons ago by Jim O'Toole and Gary Chapman, the writers of the 5 primary love languages. So what they've done is they've got 32 paired sentences So for instance, it will say, if I could only have one of these from you, I would like to hold hands, or I'd like to receive a gift or a present from you. And they're all paired up. So you total up all the columns, and that gives you your 2 primary love languages. So let's say that you and I are a couple, Jack, which we are a radio couple. My primary love languages are physical touch and quality time, which you could have probably worked out for yourself, as could everybody else. I give everybody loads of hugs because that's what I need.
Yeah.
And so as well as physical touch, quality time, spending time with people, talking, doing whatever, but being fully present and giving eye contact is quality time. But let's say that the lovely Jack, this isn't true about you, by the way, but we're just going to attribute the love languages to you. So let's say that Jack's love languages are affirmations and acts of service. So Jack would be doing, this fictitious Jack would be doing things like making my lunch for me, running my bath for me, because that's what he needs, those acts of service. He will be telling me how wonderful and beautiful and amazing I am because he needs those affirmations. But it makes us less compatible with each other, because however much you affirm me and however much you do those acts of service, those are not my love languages. I would appreciate them, but they wouldn't make me feel really loved like physical touch and quality time would. And likewise, me giving you loads of hugs and loads of physical touch and quality time, if yours were acts of service and affirmations, it wouldn't have enough impact on you. So sometimes just by finding out what your primary love languages are can make a really big difference to then knowing how you need to be loved, but also how your partner needs to be loved as well.
So should we always be looking for the top 2 or the top 3 or the top 1?
I usually advise people to go for the top 2 because they'll have the biggest scores of those couplets, basically, and they'll give you the most information. Most of us have got 2 that are running all the time. And yeah, sure, mine are physical touch and quality time, but equally, I still love words of affirmation. I still love acts of service. Gifts and presents I love as well, but not as much as I do the quality time and physical touch. So I would suggest that people have a look. I think you can get this online now. So when I was doing this, it was 2002, and it made a big difference to the children I taught as well, because knowing what their love language is means that you can praise them in a way that is meaningful, or reward them in a way that is meaningful, perhaps would be another way of putting it. So have a look at the primary love languages, basically, and yeah, go for your top 2.
Now, if you're not in a relationship and you're hoping to be in a relationship with somebody, how would you identify their top 2 love languages?
Somebody that you haven't met.
Somebody you don't actually have a relationship with.
But you've met them already.
Well, I'm talking hypothetically here.
Yes. But obviously, if they're not able to do the primary love languages, either the written version or to do it online, I suppose as long as you know what yours are, you'll know if they're a good match for you or not. So let's say yours are physical touch and quality time, which they might be. They might be easily. And that's what you would need in a lover, ideally. There are couples that have completely different love languages, and once they know what it is that each other need to feel loved, then it makes a huge difference, basically. So this person that you've just met, be observant, I suppose. Be observant in the ways they're talking. Often that gives a clue, doesn't it? Yeah.
Not about me, just making a conversation.
Yeah, okay. So this person, I would be very observant with them and notice the language that they use. I would notice the things that they do, about which of the primary love languages are most likely to be, you know, resonating with them most. And quite often people give us clues anyway in the language that they use. So it sounds like a good idea is somebody that listens carefully. That feels good is somebody that's more kinesthetic. So, you know, sometimes people are giving us clues with just the language that they're using, basically.
And if your love languages are not compatible, is there anything you can do about that, or is it?
Yes, I would suggest that you do the love languages and then have a look, because this has got, when you've totaled all your lovely scores up, it does say how to relate to a person whose primary love language is, so we're starting with words of affirmation. So communication needs to be compliments, affirmations, kind words. The action needs to be sending notes and cards and texts. Things to avoid: criticism. Because if your primary love language is affirmations, any criticism is going to be deeply hurtful to you. So how to relate to a person whose primary love language is quality time. The communication needs to be one-to-one time, not interrupting, eye contact with face-to-face conversations.
Mm.
And
can I also ask, Gary, what are you actually referring to? Is there anything I can put in down below in the description?
Yeah, it's called The 5 Primary Love Languages by Jim Toole and Gary Chapman.
Okay. Can you send me that after the show? And I'll put
I will do, darling. Yeah, for sure. So action for someone whose primary love language is quality time: take long walks together, do things together, take trips together. Things to avoid: long periods of being apart, spending more time with friends, hobbies than with your partner. So if we like quality time, that would be, you know, that would be difficult for us to cope with. Yeah. How to relate to a person whose primary love language is receiving gifts. Communication would need to be positive, fact orientated, informative. Action would need to be give gifts on special and not so special occasions. And things to avoid: forgetting their special days. So acts of service. How to relate to a person whose primary love language is acts of service. Communication needs to be action words like I can, I will, what else can I do for you? Actions need to be helping with the chores in the house, in the garden, repair, maintenance, and general acts of kindness. I like that, general acts of kindness. Yeah. And then things to avoid: ignoring his or her requests while helping others. I get that. I get that. Physical touch, which is again one of mine. How to relate to a person whose primary love language is physical touch. Communication needs to be lots of non-verbals. Verbals need to be word pictures. And the action that people whose primary love language is physical touch is touches, hugs, pats, kisses, strokes, holding hands. So self-explanatory, really.
Say that last bit again.
Holding hands.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And then things to avoid: physical neglect or abuse. There's folks that like physical touch aren't going to get on well with that. No. So it's just a matter of being mindful about what your primary love languages are and what this other person's primary love languages are. And when you've established, you know, a working relationship, I'd suggest that you can make it really playful and fun-filled, just going through the questionnaire saying, oh, which one do you like? So that would be good.
That's a good one, yeah.
So another thing that I'd recommend for sexual healing, should we call it, Instead of trying to find fault and notice things that your partner does not do, try changing your perspective and look only for the good things that they do. Literally catch them out doing something good and then affirm them for it, because that's a much more beautiful energy than being told off because you didn't empty the bins right, or you didn't stack the washing up right, or whatever minutiae was going into your head. What we need to remember is it's more important to be kind than right.
Yeah.
And sometimes we forget that. We go hell for leather going, no, 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 this is my viewpoint and we've got to do it. And as I'm not very compliant, I don't expect other people to be compliant. Bonus, bonus. Tell them how much you appreciate that they did this thing that you caught them doing that was lovely. This has a really positive effect on both the giver and the receiver and can encourage more laughter, more fun and more pleasure. For a fun read on the differences between the divine masculine and divine feminine, try reading one called Why Men Lie and Women Cry. I find it very amusing and accurate for both genders. They do another one as well that particularly resonates with me. That's called Why Women Can't Read Roadmaps and Why Men Don't Listen. So for me and my beautiful, unusual sense of direction.
So send me them after the show, and I'll put them.
I will do, darling. Yeah, for sure. I've got the link here to get them basically. So, although we've been told that men, especially, should not wear socks in bed, I'm going to tell you to do something completely different. Wear socks in bed and don't be barefoot except on grass. Loads of men tell me that they're grounding themselves on concrete. No, you're not. You're not. You're not grounding yourself on concrete. You're just making that kidney point really, really cold. So yet, by all means, have barefoot when you're on grass. When you're on clover, dandelions, that's great.
I love walking barefoot in the grass.
There you go, see. We were doing it the other Tuesday, weren't we? It's just
We were. Yeah.
It was very lovely.
Your magical garden.
Thank you, darling. I'm glad you thought it was magical. I think it's magical as well. So our K1 point, our kidney point, if this was a foot, which clearly it's not. So the K1 point is there. So it's on the soles of the feet, just below your fourth toe, basically. And that's the K1 point. Our kidneys is where we store our sexual energy. So in Chinese medicine, we believe that if that sexual energy gets cold, it goes all the way up our legs into our kidneys, right at the very top of our kidneys or our adrenal gland. So it puts you into that horrible fight or flight. So although men have been told for years, and girls as well, not to wear socks, I go to bed with socks. And not at the moment, clearly, because it's boiling in my bed. Even with just a sheet on it, it's boiling. But usually I've got a pair of socks that don't have a lot of elastic in, so they're a bit baggy, but they're covering up my K1 point, because the last thing I want is my beautiful, joyful sexual energy not to be doing pinnacle aspects of itself.
Socks in bed are the biggest turn off for me.
Well, I didn't say I had sex with them on. I just said that we need to keep our beautiful feet very, very warm. And yeah, I don't think that once you're having sex that this would be, what shall I say? This would be stopping you from having sex because you'd got socks on and your partner got sex on, especially in the winter. I know at the moment, as long as we walk on grass, we're great. Walking on concrete, boys, no, especially. So many men over the last few months have told me that they're grounding themselves with concrete. No, you're not. It's not how it works.
No, it don't work. It doesn't work the same.
No, it doesn't. So if you're going to pad round on concrete, outside, put a pair of socks on. Or I've got some where I put them. I've got barefoot sandals, so they're very good for grounding because they've got hardly any sole on. So they're very, very good for that.
When you walk in grass, you're doing two things at once. You're grounding and you're also stimulating the acupressure points. The
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And we're linking into our Earth Star. So our Earth Star, for anybody who doesn't know, is situated in line with our root chakra, which is that beautiful claret colour. And our Earth Star is situated 18 inches below our physical feet. And it really helps us to have that really strong anchor to Gaia and Mother the Earth, doesn't it? But as you say, just walking, I think it's called earthing as well in some cultures. That walking barefoot on grass is called earthing, but it is so important for helping us to feel safe and secure and scrummy, basically. So according to Chinese medicine, Taoist and tantric sex therapies, the opposite is true for both genders, that we should wear socks, particularly in the winter, so that our sexual energy doesn't get cold, because our sexual energy needs to be warm for it to work properly. What else do I need to tell you? What do I want to tell you? Additionally, having cold feet also activates our adrenal glands. I don't know what glands was. Glands. I've got somebody else's teeth this evening. And we don't want our adrenal glands to get triggered, because it is that horrible fight or flight response. We don't want that at all. What we need is to be relaxed, ready for passion. So here are some tips to enhance pleasure and joy. Enjoy the colour claret red resonates with our root chakra and our Earth Star, as I've just said. We rarely want to have sex when we are tensious and anxious. It just puts more pressure on us and more performance anxiety about how we're going to be as lovers and all that, you know, drunken monkey stuff again, Jack. So my favourite colour pants are orange, as our sacral chakra resonates with this colour vibration. And while I'm talking about our beautiful sacral, I need to talk about noise when you're lovemaking or you're having sex, or how are we going to describe this? So our beautiful throats are turquoise blue. And if you look on a colour wheel, you will see that right opposite turquoise is orange, which is the colour of our sacral. Which, as I've said, that's where we receive joy and pleasure. So the more noise you make, the more it feeds our sacral, the more pleasure you get, the more opportunities there are to. So you could, doesn't matter what noises you make, as long as they're joyful, clearly.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah.
So it could be sighs, moans, roaring, growling, or words of affirmation to yourself or to others, because the fact that you're making your turquoise blue throat feed your beautiful sacral, you get more pleasure, and then you've got more to make sounds of pleasure. And then the more you make sounds of pleasure, the more it fires up your beautiful sacral. So
yeah, I resonate with that 100%. Yeah. I've always liked women who make noise in bed. It's you know I'm doing something right.
Indeed, past lovers have told me that they really appreciate that I'm very vocal, because then there's no I got it wrong in some way. It's very obvious by the moans, the sighs of pleasure that we're making, that we like what's happening to us, basically. So the more noise you make, and the boys as well. I've had partners in the past who've roared and growled, and that's equally stimulating you. Yeah. Stimulating your throat chakra, which again feeds your sacral feeds your throat. So it's all good. Turquoise and orange. Where did I get to? Yeah, so the more you use your throat chakra, the more pleasure you receive. So it's a bit of a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've talked about wearing orange pants in the past. So if you haven't got orange pants, you get white pants or white boxers or whatever we're calling the men's attire. Don't wear them really tight pants. Now, that was a really bad bit of NLP. Avoid tight pants. It cuts the circulation off to your testes and also to your lingam as well. You don't want to be squished into those. And girls, please, please, please avoid wearing thongs. That is not good for you at all. That is not good for you at all. So I'm not going to go into all the reasons why girls shouldn't wear thongs, but just trust me on this. Wear bigger pants than thongs. And also, if you haven't got orange, you can tell them as you step into your beautiful pants or your beautiful jockey shorts or whatever it is you're wearing, you can say, these are my orange panties or these are my orange pants, because white carries the vibration of every single colour. So we're just telling the universe. So this morning, I could have put on my bright orange panties. But actually, like most men and women, we don't really like pants that much. So being commando is much better for us because it allows the air to circulate around our luscious, beautiful sexual organs, basically. For women, it's also a good way of not getting thrush, because thrush is quite often caused by wearing tights, wearing pants, wearing lycra, fitness things. So it means that you're not getting enough air to your beautiful sexual organs, and men the same. You don't want to be wearing lycra and tight things on you.
I never wear anything.
There you go, see, Jack. So we're doing the right thing already, aren't we? Being commando, one of my friends calls it. It's like, oh, you're commando. If that's what commandos do, don't wear pants, then I'm definitely commando. That's all right. I can cope with that.
I remember last year somebody said to me, "Where's your mask?" I said, "The same place as my underpants."
Non-existent. Indeed, my darling. Interestingly, drinking orange drinks can boost our sacral chakra. I don't know many turquoise drinks, otherwise I'd be advocating that. So quite often I wear turquoise. In the winter, I've got turquoise scarves. I'm not going to wear one today, strangely enough. I didn't think that was necessary. But you could wear either in a cage, a turquoise crystal, or you could have a little silk scarf. So this is silk, so that's why I've got this on today, because it does keep you nice and cool. What was the next thing I wanted to say? Oh, yes. So, benefits of sex. So, the most enjoyable benefits of sex and pleasure, the more joyful sex you have, the better you feel in every way. Sex is a great immune system stimulator. So, whilst you are giving, receiving pleasure and enjoying sex, you are actually taking good care of yourself and ensuring that you fight off infections. According to Yvonne Fulbright, who has a PhD in sexology, sexually active people take fewer sick days. What a great bonus. People who have regular joyful sex have higher levels of agents that defend your body against bacteria, viruses, and other substances that negatively impact on our immunity systems. Researchers have discovered that college students who had sex twice a week had higher levels of a certain antibody compared to students who had sex less frequently. So if you're in a solo relationship, shall we call it, so just you, me, myself and I, then make sure you self-pleasure. Make sure you self-pleasure. I recommend, so I've got a beautiful representation of a lingam. This is what my male friends call my rock cock. So this is the lingam. So basically, you want to apply coconut oil to the lingam, basically, because sometimes it can get painful if you're going to be doing it for a while. So use coconut oil. The organic coconut oil from Aldi is $1.59 a pot, so it's really, really economical. And for women, it's a very good lubricant as well because it's rich in hyaluronic acid. So if you want to give the best, let's just call it what it is, a hand job. So you'd start by doing that, but with the other hand, you'd be doing that as well. So you'd be going up and down, except mine won't stay still now. So you'd be going up and down and then doing that as well. And that's a really pleasurable way of actually massaging a man's lingam, cock, whatever we call it. Women are likened in Tantra and Taoism to cold water. Men are likened to fire. So a lot of men can see a picture of a beautiful woman and get an instant erection and they're ready to rock. The female system isn't wired up like that at all. Yes, sure, fast sex is okay sometimes, but most of the time we need to have our nipples stimulated and we need to have our clitoris stimulated to get our cold water, which is what we're likened to steaming point, basically. So sometimes the reason that women are not enjoying sex and are not orgasmic is they weren't given enough time for the pleasure triangle to be stimulated. So our nipples and our clit need to be stimulated. Whatever else the man does to you, you need to be doing that. I've had lots of women in the past who've said, I've said, so what do you do prior to having penetrative sex? And they describe being kissed for a couple of minutes and then straight in. And I said, well, that's not how your body's wired up. So you're not frigid, there isn't anything wrong with you. You're just a goddess, and goddesses need to have their nipples and the clitoris stimulated before we're ready to rock, basically. And the reason I recommend coconut oil is it's rich in hyaluronic acid. So it gets down to the lower dermis of the skin and it's silky and slippery and lovely. And there's less chance of you injuring each other.
What would you say for, and again, hypothetically here, to an older person who believes they don't enjoy sex, possibly because they've had bad relationships in the past?
You're going to have to learn to self-pleasure and learn to love yourself, because it is an act of love to give yourself pleasure. And again, we talked about this earlier in the program, didn't we? It's important to let go of the past and to, you know, you and I have both said this. I know we're talking hypothetically, but both of us have said the same thing, that we really need to heal the past and forgive ourselves and forgive the other people, because whatever heartbreak, whatever gut-wrenching, horrible stuff happened with them, often abandonment and rejection issues are piled in there as well, just to, you know, make it even worse to cope with. But actually, they were a really big gift to us because they taught us a lesson, or they taught us to love ourselves, and they taught us maybe to be more self-sufficient, perhaps, I don't know. And a lot of, I believe anyway, again, professionally as well as personally, a lot of our abandonment and rejection issues came from our childhood as well. So as you've said, but you know, if this was an elderly person, there's quite a bit of backlog to catch up with, and certainly saying affirmations to yourself that I am perfect, whole and complete, exactly as I am. I am perfect, whole and complete, exactly as I am. I am perfect, whole and complete, exactly as I am. So, where do I get to? Regular pleasurable sex boosts your libido, According to Lauren Stryker, who's an MD and clinical professor of gynecology at the School of Medicine in Chicago, she says having regular happy sex will make sex better and will improve your libido exponentially. So just having sex, even if it is solo sex, is going to be helping your libido, so you will feel more attractive. You'll be more attractive to other people because they will have experienced that in our vibration. For women, having sex increases vaginal lubrication, blood flow, and elasticity, all of which makes sex feel better and helps you to want more of it. It's always going to be good, isn't it? Additionally, joyful sex improves women's bladder control. As all sex therapists will affirm, a strong pelvic floor is important for avoiding, in the future, incontinence, something that will affect a significant number of women at some point in their lives. Great sex is a wonderful workout for your pelvic floor muscles. Yippee! When you have an orgasm, it causes contractions in those muscles, which strengthens them further. Sex has been shown to lower your blood pressure. Research suggests there is a link between sex and low blood pressure, says this MD, Mr. Pinzone. There have been many studies, he says. One landmark study found that sexual intercourse, specifically not self-pleasure, lowered systolic blood pressure. That's the first number on your blood pressure test. How wonderful is that?
Yeah, that's wonderful, yeah.
Also attributed to Pinzone, he states that sex is a great form of exercise. I'm not going to argue with that. It won't replace the treadmill, but it does count as a significant form of exercise. Research suggests that sex uses about 5 calories per minute. So self-pleasure for ages, basically. So you'll be using up even more calories than you would have done if you've ended it for 5 minutes, basically. Where do we get to? It increases your heart rate. So it's really good for the heart, basically. And uses various muscles. So clear your schedule and make time for this great exercise. As a practicing sex therapist, I can testify personally and professionally that we need to make time for this important aspect of our lives. As with all forms of exercise, consistency helps maximize the benefits. So just like you would if you were going on the treadmill or the weight machine or whatever it was, the more frequently you have sex solo or with a partner, the better it is for you, basically, because it raises your self-esteem and raises your vibration so that you are more attractive. A good sex life is exceptionally good for your heart. Besides being a great way to raise your heart rate, sex helps your estrogen and testosterone levels to balance. Good to know, isn't it?
That's brilliant.
Research suggests that when either one of these is low, you begin to get lots of health problems, such as osteoporosis and especially heart disease.
Yeah.
Having sex more frequently may help. During one study, research found men who had sex at least twice a week were half as likely to die of heart disease as men who had sex rarely. And it's also a protector in men of the prostate gland as well. So ideally, men over 40 need to be ejaculating, again, solo pleasure or with a partner, at least twice a week, because it really helps to strengthen your prostate gland, basically. And it can stop it from becoming enlarged, which adds to all sorts of misery. It has to erectile dysfunction, but it also means that you'll be doing frequency of urine as well. So have more sex, solo or with somebody else, and help your prostate gland.
That's all brilliant advice, Annie.
Well, I've got more. So carry on.
Well, we've gone over the hour. Maybe we can do a bit more on this next week.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions for Annie before we close? If so, please unmute yourselves and ask your questions. Or put your questions in the chat box.
I've only got 3 more things to say. If you want me
Okay,
to
we'll
do
carry
things.
on then. Yeah, carry
Shall
on.
I?
Yeah.
I believe sex can block and inhibit pain as it releases a hormone that helps raise your pain threshold. Female patients have reported that they found that vaginal stimulation can stop chronic back and leg pain, whilst genital self-pleasure can reduce menstrual cramps as well as arthritic pain. Sex can protect men from prostate cancer. Recent studies have shown that men who ejaculated frequently, which was said to be at least 21 times a month, were less likely to develop prostate cancer. The study suggested that sexual intercourse was the most effective and that self-pleasuring also helped, provided that the man ejaculated. Sex definitely improves sleep as it helps you to go off to sleep, as well as promoting deep sleep. There are good reasons why this has been proven to be true, as after orgasm, the hormone prolactin is released, which is responsible for the feelings of relaxation and sleepiness. Being close to your partner can additionally soothe stress and anxiety. And Barda says touching and hugging can release your body's natural feel-good hormone, oxytocin. I so love oxytocin.
I do love it.
It's wonderful stuff, isn't it? Sexual arousal releases a brain chemical that stimulates your brain's pleasure and reward systems. Sex and intimacy can boost your self-esteem and happiness too, as it's not only a prescription for a healthy life, but a happy one.
It's brilliant, Annie. Thank you ever so much for all of that.
Thank you for letting me talk openly and honestly.
Well, I think it's important. This is one particular subject that has to be, we have to learn how to talk about it like adults. So have been brought up, maybe not literally, but brought up in a sort of puritanical household as kids. And we've been taught that it's shameful. We've been taught that sex is dirty. We've got to try to put all that behind us, and it's not easy. No. If we were taught these things, if we just pick these things up subliminally during the first 7 years of life, we're picking everything up subliminally. How do we get rid of it in later life?
Affirmation.
Affirmations, yeah.
And seeing a good therapist that you resonate with. Yeah, there's plenty of good NLP practitioners. There's other haveners within the Stafford area. Havening can be done online as well. So it can release that PTSD, trauma, or, you know, the unhelpful thought that jumps into your brain that tells you that you're not a brilliant lover, or tells you you're not going to get an erection, you're not going to have an orgasm. Any of that drunken monkey stuff, it can get rid of, basically.
So anybody who wants to work with Annie, obviously I'll put your contact details in the description. If you live locally, then I mean, I really, really recommend Annie's practice. It's really, really lovely. And go and visit her garden. It's got such a magical, it's just got such a magical vibe to it. It's a really lovely garden. For people who don't live in the area, Annie, do you work with people remotely?
I do, yes. So I've worked with people over the last 10 years in Canada, USA, France, Denmark, and where else have I worked? Oh, and people in Scotland who literally physically couldn't get to me. And it is just as effective as seeing me face to face. You just don't get, you only get an etheric hug. You don't get an any day big hug if you don't come to Stafford. But other than that, you get exactly the same healing, basically.
All right, so all Annie's contact details are in the description on the YouTube version of this video.
Thank you, Jack.
Please do get in touch with Annie, because I tell you, she is brilliant.
Thank you, Jack.
I had some therapies with Annie last Tuesday, not this particular modality, but other things that she does, and she is good.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll vouch for that.
do you want to read that out?
It says from Catherine, thank you both. And thank you, Chrissy. I'm glad you enjoy your treatments with me as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Glad you can, Chrissy. I know you've had a few sessions with Annie too, and you think the same as me, don't you? You think that it's absolutely magical.
Definitely, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, lovely people.
He's gone all shy now, haven't you?
I'd
He's gone all
love
shy
to tell you
now.
I'm shy, but not really.
So on the YouTube version of this video, please do like and share. It helps the channel to get out to more people.
Of course, yeah.
Annie and I are here every Monday at this time.
Yeah.
And I also do a show on a Friday evening at the same time.
Yeah.
Co-creating the New Earth together. I don't do that every Friday, I only do it when I've got a guest. So if anybody wants to come on that show and tell the world what you're doing, then please get in touch with me. I'd love to interview. Catherine's been on, several people have been on.
And the Egyptian Friday night one that was out on Saturday was not without its challenges, but actually the YouTube version by Saturday afternoon was amazing, and it brought back such beautiful memories of when I went to Egypt about 15 years ago. Yeah,
last Friday I interviewed a lady called Gina Baxter, who does pilgrimages to the sacred sites of Egypt. And she gave us lots and lots of information about Egypt. We couldn't cover that much in an hour, but she will be coming on again later to talk in more depth on the subject.
Oh, from Kenneth Kendrick to everyone, thank you so much, in a pink heart with wings. So for tonight, I shall get the YouTube version of this online as quickly as I can. Okay, my darling. And thank you again, Jack, for inviting me to be your co-host. It's always lots of fun, and I really love just chattering to you. Annie, you've brought a whole new life to this show. Oh, thank you. I really mean that. You've given this show a new impetus. So I'm so glad that you're doing it with me now. Oh, me too. We're a good combination, aren't we, Jack Cox? Yeah. We work well together, Annie Day. So do. We so do. We so do, my darling. I'm going to put up the YouTube version. Oh, we've got another comment. Andrew Paul Smith, thank you for all this wonderful information, and a heart. Oh. Brilliant. I think we've all enjoyed it tonight. We've all learned an awful lot. I've learned a huge amount tonight. Oh, thank you. I'm so pleased, sweetie. I'm so pleased. Yeah, lovely. Night, night, everybody. Good night. Namaste.